Hey everybody, this is Timothy Gay here, and I'm doing something new again today. Today I'm going to go over a solo variant that I've made up in my head for Court of the Dead Mourner's Call, which is in its last remaining hours on Kickstarter now. And this is a completely untested, fan-made solo variant that I think might work. It's an incredibly random variant, but it's incredibly simple, which is what I like in my solo variants. And all you need is, of course, the game, which we don't have yet. So this is unplay tested. You need a deck of cards, a standard deck of cards. I'm using the Court of the Dead Premium Dealer set, which would be awesome to use because it comes with Court of the Dead themed cards. A pair of dice, which will be included in the game. They'll be fancy dice, so you don't need to go find that. And probably some kind of marker token to help with the draft, just mentally keep track. And that comes with the dealer set, so that's cool. So what I wanted to do in this solo variant is to not change much of the rules. And we're going to kind of go through a game. And the cool thing about this is I think you can use this as an AI to if you wanted to have more players in a game but you didn't have actual human players, you could probably use this to do it too. Or you could do it to be completely solo and you could play against a variety of opponents. Let's just say for our purposes, for simplicity's sake, we're going to do a two-player solo game. A solo game against the enemy. Now, there's a few things to keep in mind with the enemy, and know that I'll call it the AI for this little run through. The AI doesn't use resources, and I would probably recommend checking out how to play this game before you use this to learn how to play the game, because I'm not going to dive into every detail of how the game's played. But the AI doesn't use resources. It doesn't run out of Etheria. It doesn't run out of bone, spirit, or flesh token, whatever they call it on the track. It's not spending anything ever. The AI starts with death, which is the tiebreaker. And we are going to randomly assign the AI's faction, which is what this is showing, how you choose your faction at the beginning with your ulterior motive. You still get to try to accomplish the ulterior motive, but the AI does not try to, because it's a mindless AI. It's very mindless. But that's only important for them because they will get their first mourner card that way. Okay? So we're now on this part. The Etheria distribution is only going to affect the player. You're going to divide it in piles, and I'm deciding that this should be as tough as possible, so you will get the smallest pile, whatever that may be, which could be pretty bad, which is the idea. Wallows cards, the AI does not have to accomplish Wallows cards. They will get them automatically. If they get them from one of their cards, they automatically accomplish it. We would still have to accomplish the Wallows card. That's one thing. And I'm just going to kind of keep going through this. Card drafting. Here's where our little token is going to come in handy. And I'm just going to use this deck of cards as an example. These would actually be the court cards, which are the big action cards that you draft. And so to simulate the draft in a two-player, we would take them face down and deal 2 rows of 6. Let's just say that's 6 cards, because I'm running out of space. And one hand would be for us, one hand would be for our AI enemy. We would take a token, set it next to the first one that's getting picked from. The AI will automatically take the leftmost, whatever it is, and then we will go down, and then we get to pick from the 6 whatever one we want. Let's say we took this one. We would get to see what it is, of course. I don't have court cards. Then we'd go back to this, and we would get first. Oh, the AI would then we would get first pick this time, and we'd take this, and then the AI would take the leftmost. Then we go back down here. AI gets first pick, and then we would take one, and it keeps going back and forth that way. And if you had more than 2 players in your game, multiple AIs, you would just keep going down that way and kind of ping-ponging back and forth. The idea is the that there's some restriction to your choice because the AI will be taking the leftmost cards away from your choice. So that's one way to not stimulate the draft. I guess it could. So let's keep going. Now the action phase. This is really where the deck of cards is important, and why I decided to go with a deck of cards, because it made it easy. So the AI, let's say we do all our turns normally. We will have to spend resources and Etheria and things to get things on the board, just like it's showing there. The AI simply will flip the top card of the deck, and this would be a 10. And I've made some notes here, which I'm just going to kind of go through real quick. So in this case, we flipped a 10, and I was saying, look at the scribblings of a madman. A 9 or a 10 would activate one of their mourner cards, if they have any. So let's just go through what which card would do. So an ace, 2, or a 3 would recruit Guild Figure, and to do that, an ace, 2, or 3 would say they are getting a Guild Figure. You would then flip the card to determine the type of Guild Figure and also the location, because the locations on the board to recruit the Guild Figure, and they also get to deploy all at the same time. They're not going to be storing there because they have no player board. Okay, sorry about that. I haven't played this, so so let's say they flipped over this 9 because they did the 10, which lets them recruit. So they would be putting a Guild Figure in space 9 of the board, and the suit determines which faction. So I just decided randomly that Bone would be Spade, Flesh would be Clubs, Spirit would be Diamond, and Heart would actually match the random faction that we gave them at the beginning of the game, because it doesn't matter if it's secret for them, because there's no ulterior motive for them. So that's ace, 2, or 3s, recruit the Guild Figure. Let's say 4, 5, or 6. If they draw 4, 5, or 6, they would gain a mourner card. And to determine which stack they gain from, they're just going to take the top card. You would flip another card and say this is diamonds, so they would get the top Spirit mourner card. And the order that they get the cards is important because that's how they're going to activate. Okay? Now a 7 or an 8 is going to move any figures they have out on the board and simply flip another card after they've done a 7 or 8. And, that would tell you the location based on the number, okay? And a jack would be what? Space 11, okay? Then a 9 or a 10 would activate their mourner card. And I'm just saying it would activate their leftmost mourner card. So if they had 3 cards out, they would take the first one and activate it. Now, if they ever do a jack, queen, or jack, king, or queen, they would play one of these court cards that's in their hand. And it would be randomized because all their cards are going to be shuffled and put in a stack. And so they'll just play the top card. Now, if there's ever a card that you flip and the AI cannot do the action that I've made on this chart, it's not possible, say they don't have a mourner card, that would actually be a pass for them. That's the only time the AI would ever pass. And you keep going, and the AI has unlimited turns until you pass. They would get to do one more turn. You can decide to jump back in, or you can decide to pass along with them. And then that would be the end of the round. And now, once we've gotten to the end of the round, let's just scroll down. There's all the different actions. I guess I could have showed you those while we did them, but it shows a player board a lot. So, see, like the spaces have the numbers. The numbers would correspond with the card drawn for movement and spawning of the guild figures. And as they got guild figures, they would also increase their guild, their underworld, these things, the guild control. So as they're going to easily could overwhelm the board. Unity's gained no matter what, the way it is normally, through card play, through owning spaces, things like that. The scoring, I wasn't able to figure out how to make this a scoring, the part where the tokens go on that. That's something I still want to develop, because I would like to incorporate that, because it's a big part of the game. I just don't know how to do that with the AI yet. I think after playing it, I'll be able to figure out more. But for now, it's all based on Unity tokens is the score, and getting Wallows cards, things like that. And must have skipped past. Let's see here. I think I skipped past what I was trying to get to at the end of the round. Probably went right by it. Bear with me. Let's see. Maybe it's not on there. I thought it was on here. Okay, I guess not. Well, what I was thinking of for the Dread script, the number of characters in a space, that still applies. No rule changes there. If you have too many, you're going to roll for the AI with the die, and they get knocked off the same way you get knocked off. The Celestial Tithe, for that, each AI is going to roll 2 dice. You make your selection of how much you want to pay first. And you don't know how much the AI is going to be willing to pay. The AI is super stingy on the Celestial Tithe because they take 2 dice for their decision, which happens after you've made your decision. They roll them, and they subtract the high, the low from the high. So in this case, they would give 5. They were extra nice. But if they rolled like a 5 and a 5, they're given 0. So the same punishments will apply. It's a lot. You don't know at all what they're going to give. So it's pretty punishing there. But that is the gist of it. Basically, flip a card for each AI's turn. Do whatever number corresponds with what. The suits determine the faction for ones that need to determine a faction. Anytime that the AI plays a card that is letting them deploy something, you would flip a card to determine, and you do it the same way. And then you would also flip to determine the type. And then I thought maybe we could keep the jokers in the deck and make them really mean, like Malavestros would come in, and I was thinking maybe it would destroy maybe one of your Mourner cards or something like that. Just something a little extra that would be funny for Malavestros to do. Or you could just take the jokers out. I don't know. I hadn't decided on that. But anyway, that's the quick and dirty of it. It's a really quick way to do it. I don't know if it's going to be too random, but it's my ideas for a super, super simple solo mode without having to get complicated or having to invest in printing some fancy cards or spending more money. Like I said, all you need is a simple deck, a 52-card deck, to make this work. And pretty much everybody has one of those laying around. You can get the premium Court of the Dead set, wherever I put that, and get the cool cards that go with the game if you like theme and all that type of stuff. So anyway, I'll probably type all this up and post it on BGG, and we can all grow this thing together. Probably more when the game actually comes out so we can actually play it. But I think this would be something cool we could all develop together. And anyway, go back Court of the Dead, because it's in its final couple of days here. So hopefully this might stimulate some ideas amongst the community. I know it's not the end-all be-all solo mode, but it's a start. It's possible, everyone. I think. I don't know. Anyway, thanks, and woohoo! Go back Court of the Dead.